There is something the internet will always love, and that is a routine that looks extreme. Not always a routine that works best, not necessarily a routine backed by any evidence whatsoever, not even a routine people can actually keep doing long term, but a routine that looks dramatic. The more steps, the stranger the products, the bigger the transformation. Upon reveal, the better it performs online. And for a while, no trend captured that better than the morning shed. One of the biggest symbols of the morning shed was the overnight peel-off mask. The idea that you need to coat your face in something you can barely sleep in, then peel it off in the morning to look glowy. I tried sleeping in them, I hated sleeping in them, and honestly, I just don't think they're necessary unless your skin is really starved of hydration. You do not need a peel-off mask or wrapping mask to wake up with glowing skin. This is where the sponsor of today's segment comes in. This is the Lacquer Skin Wrapping Cream. I love their lip products and their lip masks, so I already knew I was going to love this before I even tried it, but this is much more my kind of skincare. Instead of adding another unnecessary step into your evening routine, it does what a good moisturizer should do and then goes a step further. It hydrates, it nourishes, and it helps your skin look naturally healthy and radiant by the morning, because that's the difference for me. I don't want that glow that looks like products sat on the top of my skin. I want my skin to actually feel comfortable, hydrated, and looked after, and actually feel the benefits of that rather than just see fake benefits. Do you know what I mean? I don't want my glow to be performative. I want it to actually be benefiting my skin. I'm applying it in the evening, and the next morning, my skin still feels wrapped whilst helping support the skin barrier, locking everything in, creating the ideal environment for skincare products to thrive, especially overnight, and that's what this does. The texture is one of the nicest parts for me. It feels so rich and comforting, but not suffocating in any way whatsoever or overly heavy. We got ingredients like PDRN and ceramides in here. Ceramides are well known for supporting the skin barrier and helping reduce moisture loss, transepidermal water loss, especially overnight, while PDRN is also there to help with hydration and skin conditioning, so you get this really nice plumped skin look. So if you like that dewy, glowy skin that wrapping mask gives you, the wrapping mask skin trend, but want something that actually makes sense in a real routine, I'll leave the link for this in the description down below, and thank you so much to Lacquer for sponsoring this segment of today's video. If you somehow missed the morning shed, it's got nothing to do with the wooden structure in your garden. The morning shed was this viral beauty ritual where people would go to bed covered in layers of skincare, strapped into accessories, wrapped in overnight treatments, hair set, lips coated, patches stuck on every single part of their face, their neck, down to their chest, only to wake up in the morning and remove everything, piece by piece, peeling off those masks. Very satisfying. Taking chin straps off, pulling curlers out, removing patches, wiping off layers of products. I've seen people pulling LED masks out of all kinds of places, and the reveal would always be this glowing skin, perfectly styled hair when they've just woken up, a face that supposedly was snatched overnight, and a influencer who appeared to have hacked beauty while sleeping. And these videos got millions of views, millions of people watched these. Everyone seemed to swear by it. Every other video was showing a different version of this routine. And because of its sheer virality, products were selling out. TikTok shop links were everywhere, and overnight, a lot of these masks became essentials. Chin straps suddenly became an essential. People suddenly believed they're getting rid of double chins again. Mouth tape became essential. Suddenly it looked like if you went to bed with only moisturizer on, you were wasting your potential. You could be doing so much more. But now, where has the trend gone? What happened to all these influencers who swore by the morning shed? Why aren't they doing it anymore? Why aren't they sharing their morning shed anymore? Because trends like this don't usually disappear unless something happens. Either they stop working, stop selling, stop entertaining, or people just quietly realize that they never really needed them in the first place. I want to talk about what the morning shed really was, the products involved, what actually had value, what was overhyped, how influencers turned it into a shopping event, and why something everyone claimed changed their life seems to have vanished almost overnight. So at its core, right, the morning shed was really quite simple. Do as many beauty treatments as possible before going to bed, then remove them in the morning for the final result. The shed part came from shedding all the layers, like some kind of like lizard or snake transformation. Do lizards shed their skin? I don't know. But what made it so popular wasn't the skincare itself, it was the format. Because from a content perspective, it was perfect, right? You had the hook straight away. Someone on camera looking pretty weird, to be honest with you, all wrapped up, all glossy, taped, patched up. It was actually like mildly alarming, to be honest with you. It was always a bit of a jump scare that you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And then you had this suspense. What are they going to look like after? What is after all those layers? Almost like someone taking off the bandages when somebody's just had a facelift, right? And that satisfying removal content. People love that shit. People love peeling, unwrapping, revealing. Then you have the final payoff. It was basically beauty content engineered for attention. And that's why it became so popular, because sometimes trends become popular not because they are the best thing to do, but because they are the best thing to film. Two very, very different things. One gives influencers a lot to do, and on the other side, dermatologists are telling influencers and people why they shouldn't be doing this. But let's have a look at the products that people were actually using. The products obviously changed depending on the creator, but there were a few repeat offenders, shall we say. Some of them were good. We had the overnight peel-off wrapping mask, which I mentioned in today's sponsorship, and these were everywhere. These are usually very clear rub-on gel masks that would dry and you could peel them off, or more popularly, the kind of like Medicube peel-off masks. You know, they came in like two different jelly type sheet masks that you leave on, they dry clear, and then you peel them off. And in the morning, you'd be guaranteed this glossy glass skin. And visually, they were perfect for that content. They looked very strange when they went on, very dramatic, but then the removal was very, very satisfying. We then had slugging products, which are heavy occlusives like Vaseline, petroleum balms, thick ointments, barrier cream. And the idea behind slugging is to seal in moisture overnight and stop transepidermal water loss. Less glamorous, but actually very, very effective. Sleeping masks are kind of the same thing, but more so just like a rich moisturizer marketed for nighttime use, usually focusing on hydration, softness, and comfort, waking up with that fresher looking skin. Pimple patches, hydrocolloid patches over blemishes, very useful. The same with lip masks, very, very useful. Under eye patches, cooling, hydrating, depuffing, often a more temporary cosmetic, I guess like refresh than anything long term. Chin straps and face bands. These have always been sold as like jawline sculptors. They wrap up your face, you sleep in it, and the idea is that you wake up more defined and your chin looks more defined. A sentence that should immediately make you suspicious, really. Mouth tape is a huge trend, not just within the morning shed, but with biohacking bros. And this got included in the morning shed. You tape your mouth shut while sleeping to encourage nasal breathing. Now, there is actually some nuance here, which we'll get into, but social media rarely does nuance. We had the hair rollers, heated tongs, then we had a few extra bits, a few extras here and there, like foot detox pads, castor oil packs, castor oil in the belly button, waist wraps, forehead patches, silicone wrinkle patches, LED masks, as I mentioned, go everywhere, and even ice globes waiting in the fridge for the next morning. You know, it kind of stopped becoming like a bedtime routine that was somewhat interesting and kind of had some nuance to it, and some people could see as like, you know what, that might be helpful to a particular skincare concern I had, and it just became like dress up, you know? So out of everything I just listed there, what actually had value? Because not everything in this trend was complete utter shit. Sometimes trends mix good advice with bad advice, useful tools with gimmicks, and genuine skincare with, I guess, like TikTok shop products. So yes, some parts of the morning shed were honestly quite reasonable. As I mentioned, for slugging, occlusive moisturizing, if you have dry skin, dehydrated skin, using an occlusive product at night can be helpful, helping to reduce water loss from the skin and can just support your barrier long term as well. That doesn't mean everybody needs to slug every single night, and it definitely doesn't mean everyone should pile on Vaseline over active irritation, but the core idea makes sense. Same with those rich night creams, the sleeping masks, which are essentially just a good, thicker moisturizer, can absolutely leave your skin softer and more comfortable by the morning. Again, it's not anything revolutionary, it's just heavier moisturizing. Sometimes though, the most effective skincare, as we know, is the least exciting to watch. Pimple patches. Great, they can help protect your spots, reduce picking, and absorb fluid from certain blemishes. They're very practical, they're very, very good. Heatless curls, again, fine. Silk bonnets, again, fine. Lip treatments are great if your lips are very, very dry, but again, you just put on a thicker lip balm before bed, even just Vaseline. Now, what was overhyped? And I feel like this is a longer list. Many of the most viral products weren't the most effective ones here, but they were the most visual ones, which is always the case. Now, these peel-off overnight masks, they often created an instant glow and smoother appearance. I really do like the Medicube very thin peel-off one for when my skin was very, very dehydrated, very dry, and you do wake up with this amazing glow that isn't just surface layer gunk. But a lot of that effect does come from hydration, film-forming ingredients, surface smoothing, and a temporary cosmetic finish. Not because like your skin suddenly like soaked up all the ingredients and it's now plump and you've had a facial overnight. You can often get a similar healthy glow from a good moisturizer that doesn't require sleeping in a layer of drying product. But as I mentioned, they are a good bonus if you are suffering with dehydration. Chin straps. These have been around for so long and honestly have always been bullshit. These may create temporary compression. That can mean slightly puffing or a more sculpted look immediately after removal, but reshaping your jawline permanently through a stretchy piece of fabric you bought during a flash sale on TikTok Shop obviously isn't gonna work. Now, mouth tape is one that has that bit more nuance. For some people, under proper guidance, addressing mouth breathing can be helpful. But online, it was kind of sold like a universal biohacking life upgrade, better jawline, better sleep, better skin, better energy, more focus somehow, better everything. A lot of claims that just didn't make sense to taping your mouth shut. Social media takes what mouth taping can do a step further, says things like hormone optimization. Like how? Can we just use our common sense and think, how does that even make sense? Better skin and improved facial structure, which I think there is evidence of at a younger age, but not when you're in your 20s to 30s. Now, these wrinkle and silicone patches are kind of okay. We're talking about frownies, I think are very, very popular. These can temporarily smooth the appearance of lines by hydrating the area and physically flattening the skin. Temporary being the important word. It kind of boosts the hydration in those fine lines, making your fine lines temporarily look plumper, less obvious, but they're not wrinkle erasing in any way. Detox foot pads, I've talked about these before, absolute bullshit. You put these pads on your foot, they turn brown overnight, and toxins have supposedly left your body. But what it actually is ingredients reacting with moisture. Toxins do not leave your feet. Your body already has its own detoxification system, and it's not through the bottom of your foot. As I mentioned, influencers took this trend and they ran with it, and they kind of turned it into essentially a shopping event. And I think this is why the trend did so well, because it was almost like it was built for social media commerce, e-commerce commerce, right? Let's think about, right? In one video, you could include the wrapping mask, the lip mask, the chin strap, the mouth tape, pimple patches, a bonnet, curlers, a serum of any sort, the overnight cream, ice rollers for the morning, the cleanser after the removal, lip balms, so much stuff. That is a full basket from one trend. And if every product has an affiliate link, suddenly the influencer's evening routine can make them a month's worth of commission in one video, which is crazy. Now, I'm not saying that every influencer had bad intentions and every influencer doing this was doing this. You know, they weren't just farming for affiliate link money, but I do think that's how it became so popular in the first place. Lots of influencers saw an opportunity to make extra money. But as I mentioned time and time again, an influencer showing one moisturizer and saying, this is nice, is less likely to go viral than someone appearing wrapped up in God knows what. Now, I also think this became popular from the viewer perspective because it tapped into something a little bit deeper than skincare and hit an audience that was a little bit more widespread than people just into skincare. And this is productivity culture. We live in a world where even rest has to be optimized, right? Sleep used to be just sleep. Now it's track your sleep, improve your sleep source, mouth tape, magnesium and zinc, isn't it? Red light, weighted blankets, wake up alarm sync to your cortisol rhythm, overnight beauty routines. They are just a few things I saw this morning whilst on TikTok. Even sleeping has become like a project, like something you need to keep track of. The morning shed fits perfectly into that mindset. Why just sleep when you could be improving whilst unconscious? right? But also that transformation fantasy. There is always appeal in the idea that you can go to bed one version of yourself and wake up better. You're going to wake up smoother, you're going to look glowier, your face is somehow going to be all lifted. I don't know about you, but I wake up extremely puffy all the time. So I think the idea that you can wake up ready to get on with the day, wake up more attractive, more put together was so appealing to so many people. Like beauty marketing has sold this idea, I guess we could say like fantasy, forever. Like overnight creams have been a thing, anti-aging creams, all these things you're meant to use overnight that you think you're going to wake up looking 10 times better. The morning shed just turned into a format. But with that being said as well, like skincare for some is quite comforting because it can give a structure. Do these steps, use these products, stay very consistent, and maybe things are going to improve. And I think we've all been there. I think obviously, this is how I even came into this job, is I was looking for improvements. One thing worked for me when I had acne. So I was like, what else is going to work for me? What else can I use that's genuinely going to sort out my life, improve my skin? It can be a very genuinely positive thing to want to know what's next, what's out there, and be as well researched as a consumer can be. That can be genuinely positive. But trends can also exploit that feeling by convincing people that they need more and more and more and more. And also, skincare has become a hobby for a lot of people. I call it the makeupification of skincare. I didn't call it that. Somebody else called it that, but that's what we refer to it as. Makeup became a mass hobby when the influencer industry first boomed, right? People were buying palette after palette after palette, and skincare somehow then fitted into that format too, even though it's not supposed to. We're not supposed to change products every week. We're not supposed to be experimenting with product after product after product. We're supposed to stick to a routine that works for us and be consistent with that. With that being said then, why did this trend, this evening routine that absolutely everyone was allegedly doing because it transformed them so much, how did it die out so quickly? I think the first things first is it wasn't sustainable. Most people are barely doing a 4-step routine before going to bed, let alone this performance every single night. You're fucking tired. You want to wash your face, put on a moisturizer, and go to bed. Nobody wants to do this, and or nobody has the time to do all of this. It's also expensive. This is a trend that was built around multiple products, and it's obviously going to become very expensive very quickly. And when we're talking about these products that are kind of rooted in a lot of pseudoscience, they tend to be very expensive. These silicone patches can cost an arm and a leg if you want a decent one that's actually going to stick to your body the whole night. LED masks cost a fortune anyway. It just wasn't realistic in any way whatsoever. And once people stopped feeling kind of like wowed by the results that they were seeing over and over, because everyone looked the same. Let's be honest, a lot of people didn't look any different after this. Like they just looked like the same as they did in other videos. So spending all that money just becomes harder to justify. And like I said, people kind of look the same. And if they did look better, many of the visible results were short term. Hydration, reduced puffiness, slightly styled hair, a really nice surface glow. Nothing wrong with those temporary results, but temporary results rarely sustain permanent hype and dedication to a product, you know? If you realize a product isn't giving you those long-term results, you kind of feel like you're just using it for no reason. And like it becomes makeup in a way, I guess. It's like a temporary result. But also, guys, the algorithm just moved on. We know what TikTok's like. Social media trends often die, not because people suddenly reject them, but just because the platform gets bored of it. Once viewers have seen 50 versions of the same thing over and over, the same reveal, the same people, the same hundreds of people jumping on the same concept, it stops feeling new. It's repetitive, it's boring. People move on, creators move on, the audience move on. And I think with all skincare trends, no matter what the trend is, no matter what the new product is, people kind of realize again that simplicity works. It does work. Look, I love a multi-step routine. I really do. But sometimes all you need is a cleanser, a treatment stage, and a moisturizer. That's really it. At the end of the day, maybe a couple of treatment stages in the evening, consistency, sun protection in the day. That gets people so much further than all this crap that people said you had to put on your face. But it's not as exciting to film though, is it? To me, the morning shed was never just about skincare. It wasn't a genuine approach to how people are treating their skin, optimizing their skin in any way whatsoever. It kind of just reflected this bigger shift in beauty culture where routines are no longer just routines. I've talked about this before. They've all become entertainment. People are buying products that they want to know how they look once they're done. Skincare used to be about results. Like, what does this product do for me? What's the finished result going to be for my skin? Now it's more so like, what is the finish of this product? How is my skin going to look to other people once I've used this product? Especially if you're filming it for online, but also the way people are consuming skincare content. Everything links to a sale, especially with TikTok Shop. It's so easy and quick to buy something now. So everything really has to be a visual performance. It has to get the attention of people really, really quick, really blurring that line between self-care and performance, in my opinion. Like, are you doing that skincare routine because you feel like it's genuinely helping you, or because you feel like you should always be doing more? You know, I feel like that's where skincare has gone. I feel like The Morning Shed took some reasonable ideas and pushed them to the point of almost like parody, like theatre, pantomime, you could say. And maybe that's why it did disappear, not because every product was useless. As I mentioned, some were decent, some more wrapped in nuance, and not because everybody was lying. I'm sure some people out there still have these little things that they do at night in order to minimize their routines in the morning. But eventually people realize that looking effective on camera is not the same as being effective in real life. And I think that lesson is going to keep repeating itself, trend after trend, product after product. I'm really interested in what the next crazy skincare trend is going to be. Hopefully nothing like this, because how more extreme can you get than The Morning Shed? I don't know. I'm scared to find out. But let's remember, when we see stuff like this, just think to yourself, do I actually need this? Does this actually work, or does it just look impressive? Because half the time, it's absolute bullshit.